Hey Facebook. So today I know if you're reading the topic of choice today on how to transform every area of your life. I know that sounds slightly, I don't know, maybe a little condescending or I don't know, like maybe you're probably questioning, you know, again, like these one-off things that maybe some people really want to believe that like this one thing can make an impact or change something about their lives. But I was asked by a friend to share something, so I figured why not, it was more in specifics about something that made a huge impact on my life. So I thought, why not share that with everybody, to all of my friends here on Facebook. It's something that I think has had a tremendous impact on my life for the better. So I'm like, why not share that with everybody else? So let me give you a little bit of a brief backstory for those of you who do not know who I am. If for some reason you're stumbling upon this video, my name is Lindsay Lombardi, and I am a fitness and wellness and kind of business and life coach with Find Your Freedom Coaching. So I help people in kind of all different areas, but I wasn't always that. Back in August of 2011, I think it was, I took the Landmark Forum, and I sort of, it was a time in my life when I wasn't happy with what I was doing work-wise, career-wise. My marriage was sort of just like very mediocre. I just wasn't feeling like I was like truly like living my life. So a friend of mine had invited me to go like check out this info on a seminar, and I couldn't make it. I couldn't make it that night when he had invited me to check this out. And so I just kind of blindly signed up for it. I just said, I can't make this like information session to find out more about it. So, let me just go in online and sign up for it. I'll just one and done. So I signed up for this course. It was like a 3.5-day seminar. Back then, I think it was like $525 or something back in 2011. And I just kind of, it sounded interesting to me. I've always been a fan. For those of you who have been following me for a while, you know that I've been a fan of all different types of personal or professional development. If there's a way to improve something in maybe my craft or my life or really anything, I'm all in for it. So I just kind of blindly signed up for this seminar, and things in my life it was really interesting how things were kind of starting to like change in my life. Like I had met, I ended up meeting this like really amazing person who became sort of a mentor in my life, and realizing that, so this is between the time that I signed up for it and before my actual course. So there was like this, I don't know, almost like 6 to 8 week period between signing up and actually taking the course, because you have to wait to the next one. And I remember I met this like group of people, and specifically this one person who became such a huge mentor for me. And it was interesting. So I met this person, and he starts telling me and sharing with me that he has done this curriculum, and he actually sort of like volunteers his own time to help people within this coursework. So I was like, dude, that's so crazy, right? Like, how does something like this happen? Like, I sign up for something, like the universe, right? It's sort of like the law of attraction. I sign up for this, and then bam, like a week or two later, somebody comes into my life that's also, surrounded by this education. And to me, that it just sort of, I don't know, at the time I didn't think of anything of it, but I think after the fact I realized, like, wow, all these things were happening. Like I said, it's sort of like the law of attraction. So that's sort of how I got involved. Looking back, and again, I apologize because this has been like, almost 7 years now, or 6 years. So it's hard for me to sometimes remember everything that was happening back then. But I remember, having a lot of like breakdowns in my life that I wasn't sure of, like, was this course going to help me with this? One of the things that they do is they assign you somebody to speak to you a few times leading up to the course to ask you about things that you want to work on specifically and what you want to get out of it, or what you're hoping to get out of it, because sometimes what you think you're going to get out of it is something totally different than what you actually get. But I remember just wanting to work on kind of the direction of my life. Like, I wasn't sure. I was, I guess, almost 30 years old, and I just was not sure of what was happening in my life. I had found this new venture in the fitness world, and I wasn't sure, maybe there was a little fear around going all in and following my dreams, and also not doing that, and keep kind of going down the safe path of what I had been doing. So I wasn't really, I wasn't really sure of exactly what I was going to get out of it. I just knew that I wanted to, make some, I guess, transformations in my life and figure out the direction that I was going in. And I'd also, sort of was getting at the point where I was like frustrated with the way things were going in my life, and like how maybe I respond to that, or maybe how I can improve my life and maybe transform the lives of other people. Because as a newbie in the wellness world, it was also frustrating to me when I couldn't help people like I wanted to. So that was also something that came up for me. So that's where I was. And then in August of 2011, I actually was able to take the course, which was 3.5 days. It was over a weekend. I think it was like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then we always had like this like half, an evening session to complete everything at the very end. And just to share with you guys like what I did get out of it, which was, I guess, sort of similar but slightly different than what I thought, because again, I was going in blindly. I had no idea what I was going to get out of it. Is that I always tell people, even to this day, that it gave me a bunch of tools in my toolbox of like life, on how to handle life, especially the breakdowns of life, because life is not perfect. Hey, Melissa. Thanks for commenting here. Life is not perfect. And I think that so many people, and this is what I've noticed even as a wellness and like fit life coach, is that I've noticed that a lot of people expect life to go perfectly for them. But the reality is that life is not perfect. And we're always going to have breakdowns. We're always going to have things coming our way within life that you don't expect, or that might not be the best, most positive things happening, right? But it's what you do to respond to those things that I think make your life either better or not. So I always try to explain to people again that like it gave me the tools to deal with life. And in a way that it's like, it's sort of very direct. Like I kind of, it's become almost second nature, almost. Like when things happen, it's like I can easily make certain choices based on the education that I have to, you know, make choices to keep, you know, staying in action or moving along or whatever it is. So again, having this sort of education has been able to transform really every aspect of my life. And I know that sounds like it's sort of a huge thing, but it's true. Because there's all these, it was a very unique sort of education over those 3.5 days. So for me, it was unique because, and I think it's unique for anybody who takes this course, because it's experiential, meaning you experience, you're experiencing something in the course that allows you yourself to transform and kind of become aware of certain things that you may not have been aware of before, if that makes sense. And just to give you an idea of some of the ways and like the things that I remember, like that I can still kind of like go back to and pull like and just remember exactly what it was that I got like the most out of this was, so one of those things was choice. I felt like for me, I had, learning to decipher the choices that I make in my life and how to be responsible about those choices. Melissa, I'm talking about the Landmark Forum. And I'll get into also, I know you're asking what course I'm talking about. So I'm talking about the Landmark Forum. I also eventually did the entire curriculum for living, which was, hey Patty, which was also inclusive of 2 other courses and a seminar. So, so for those of you, like, you know, sometimes looking back, I'm like, I can't quite remember exactly like what I got up from the one course versus the entire curriculum, because I did the entire curriculum over maybe a 3 or so year period. Some people could do that much quicker. I used to like take breaks here and there, just because my schedule, my time schedule. So, so again, one of the things was choice. Learning that I had a choice in my life and that it was really up to me for everything that I do in my life. Yes, things come your way and there's breakdowns and things happen, but I have the choice to what I'm doing in response to that. So that's one of the biggest things that I got out of it. Another thing was that you really can't change people. You know, especially when people aren't looking to have transformations in their life, but you can learn how to respond to others and like to what's happening in your life around you. So you might not be able to change people, but you can change how you respond to them. Another thing was to like also to have not only self-acceptance, but acceptance of others and just learning to sort of, I like to say like bless and release. Like, there's times where yes, you have to, just accept that other people aren't going to, maybe, you know, live their life or act a certain way, or, you know, you just have to be okay with that and accept that and either, you know, learn how to respond to that again. For me, it was also completing certain things in different areas of my life that I felt were incomplete. I learned something and I became very aware, so awareness was also one of those things. I learned that I was an 80%er, that I like, and I know for some people that's like hitting a home run. Like if you are maybe a procrastinator, you probably like don't even like start things. Well, I would start things and I would only complete them till about 80%. Whether it would be school or my own fitness or whatever it is, like I would think at like when I would get to like almost completing something, I would always like be okay with the fact that like that was enough. And I realized like how that was showing up for me in my life. Like never giving it 100%, even though I thought I was. But I was really not. Like, I was really only giving it like 80% and then like being like, okay, that's enough. One of the other major things that I got out of this was, yes, Melissa, thanks. I'm sure other people see that. I'm sure other people get stopped at 50% or sometimes 40%. And like I totally get that. That can happen for a lot of people. Sometimes it's even just starting. Some people can't even like start something, like they're just, they just can't even get themselves going. The other thing was, creating new possibilities out of nothing. Like sometimes we need to learning how to, like starting off with a nice clean slate and being okay with the fact that like sometimes you just want to be like, all right, let's just start this over, and just create a new possibility for whatever it is that I want to accomplish here. And you know, having the power to do that, because I know a lot of people stop themselves. Yes, Patty as well. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I think we all do that in some ways, and sometimes we're not aware of it. And I think that was the major thing about this this education, was that it made me aware of these things. So that way, like now I know when I actually see it when it's happening in my life, and I can be aware of it, and I can stop it. And I can stop it from happening. And that's where, you know, you have transformations in your life, when you can go actually move forward from where you had previously been stopped, right? That's an amazing achievement, and that to me is transformation. So again, creating new possibilities out of nothing, really looking at the past, the present, and the future, and all of that. For me, a major thing that I got out of this education was communication, and how to communicate in a powerful way. In the past, if you knew me as a child, you knew I was extremely shy, and I really got like why that was, like looking back in the past, and why maybe I was sort of, I mean, to the point where like I was overly shy, and now like people see me and they're like, well, how do you teach classes, or you get up and speak in front of 500-600 people, and you teach classes in front of 500-600 people. How do you do that if you are saying you were previously a shy person? Well, I understood, and I became aware of what it was that maybe caused me to be shy, and then understanding how to also just communicate in a more powerful way. And then the last thing is that learning, and I think this is awesome that because this is the first time in a course that that I really learned about integrity, and in a couple of different ways, not just in integrity of wholeness, and also integrity of keeping your word, and that it's okay that like, because things happen and things come up. And this is one of the things that like I see this happening with most people, and I see how it has an impact on their lives, is when they don't have integrity, not just with themselves, but with other people, and keeping their word. And that it's okay when things come up and things have to change, but you can be in communication. You can tell somebody, hey, you know I agreed to do X. I'm no longer able to do that. Like, let's figure out a workaround. That's a huge, huge thing. And I learned so much about integrity based on this course. And I like to kind of share those things with others, but I think, again, it's something about experiencing something in like a course like this that's so different than reading it in a book, or listening to me talk about it, or share how you can improve in that one area. Something that goes on in just like 3 days of work is just amazing. And it's more than just, you actually get homework, you actually have to be in action in your life. And that's probably the last thing that I wanted to just share, is that choosing to be in action in my life, it's a choice, number one. And it's also about just staying in action, that like you just keep moving forward. I think a lot of people get stopped. Patty, you mentioned that, like, sometimes you feel like, and I know this is in the wellness field, we always talk about this, that if you're not moving forward, you're really moving backwards. So even if you're not doing anything, right, you get stopped, right? And if you're not doing anything, you're really kind of moving backwards because things are going to keep moving in front of you. So it's more about like choosing to be in action each and every day. So I know that this may come across as like kind of random. But again, I was asked to share some thoughts from a friend, so I figured why not share this to everybody. It's, you know, it's not always the easiest to be kind of vulnerable and share, you know, share issues that I've had in my own life and how maybe I've transformed them. But I hope that this is helpful in some way to any of you guys. And thanks for letting me come on and share this. If you have questions about this, you know, feel free to reach out. Although I do want to take another course within Landmark Education. I would like to do the communications course at some point this year. Maybe when the weather starts to change, so I don't feel bad about missing out like a weekend outside. So if you guys like have any questions about this, feel free to reach out to me. You know, I can give you either details or just share some thoughts if you want to share what's going on in your life, and if you have questions on whether or not you think this will be impactful for yourself. So thanks again, guys, for letting me share. Talk soon. Bye.